Hi and welcome to another video. This video is the first video in a video series I want to do. It's actually a project video. It involves Tasmota devices. The idea is to control a selection of Tasmota devices, many devices as you want. Not only control them by turning them on and off, but also by administering them. In other words, changing properties like the Wi-Fi name, the MQTT groups they belong to, and things like that. So if you actually use the Sonoff, which is what I'm using Sonoff Flash with Tasmota. You can actually get Sonoff Tasmota nodes, and I've got a tutorial that demonstrates using that. It's a simple node, and it can turn the switch on and off. That you can do using those nodes, but what you can't do using those nodes is change things. So you can't change the MQTT group name, you can't get the switches to upgrade, you can't do basic administration with those. Now what we're going to do in this video series is we're going to develop dashboards to control and monitor a Tasmota network regardless of how many devices you have on the network, and I'm actually surprised how many devices some people do have on their networks. We're going to get familiar with the Tasmota API. We need to do that in order to build these dashboards, and we're going to do all this using Node-Red and MQTT. I don't intend to use HTTP as a control mechanism, but this series is actually an open series, so if you do have any suggestions, if you would like to include control using HTTP in the dashboards, then let me know, and if enough people are interested I will include it. That goes with other things. If you have any ideas on what the dashboard should look like, whether you want to incorporate logging into the dashboard and things like that, then there's a suggestions page on the website. Well, there's a tutorial is on the website, and there's a comments box there. You can use that for suggestions. So I'd be very grateful for feedback in developing this actual project. I've got ideas for the first 2 or 3 videos, and after that it's open. So it all depends on the feedback on how far the series goes and what we actually do cover in what detail we do cover it. So okay, let's start. Now we're going to start with a very basic flow. You can see the control here, and basically all we're going to do is turn some devices on and off, and we're going to turn them on and off using simple commands, simple switches here, and we're going to actually turn them off as a group. So we're going to look at Tasmota groups. Now what I've got here is a collection of flows, and these flows will be available in the first flow download. There'll be actual 3 flows available. There's a flow for this control panel here. There's also a Sonoff detector flow, and basically the purpose of this detector is to detect all Sonoff devices on a network, and it will detect them regardless of the scheme they're using. So regardless of the topic scheme they're using, it will detect the devices on the network. And as we're going through this project, we'll be developing these flows further. So again, open to suggestions. We'll be developing the detector flow, and we've also got a simulator. Now I've included this because some people may not have Tasmota devices currently, and they would like to actually get familiar with the Tasmota API, and they'd like to get familiar with Node-Red dashboards and controlling devices using Node-Red dashboards. Now it's currently got 4 devices configured. It's very flexible, you can add more, and as I said with the Sonoff detector, we will be developing the simulator further, or I will be developing the simulator further as we go along. And again, if you've got suggestions on that, then just let me know. And then we've got the control flow, which is the flow we're doing currently. This is the flow that you can see here to control. We're going to control a water pump, we're going to control a light. Now both of these devices are actually simulated devices. They are created by the simulator. Now when you download these flows, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is import the flows and start Node-Red, and the simulator will run and the Sonoff detector will run. Now this is what you'll see in the dashboard. You'll see two tabs. One is the home tab, one is the control tab, and this is the Sonoff detector, what you're seeing here. Now you got the outdoor lights, you got the heater, you got the main lights, and you got a water pump. Now I'm not going to actually cover the detector, I'm not going to cover the simulator in this video. I'll cover those in a later video. As I say, there's nothing really to configure currently with these. You just import them and they will run. Now what I've got them here for though is because you can actually see when we actually activate the control panel, when I actually turn the water pump on, you can see the water pump should come on in here, and if I turn the water pump off, we should see the water pump off here. Now underneath here on my flow I've got actually 3 switches. They're actual live switches, so you can use the simulator or you can just use live switches. It makes no difference. It depends what you have available, and you can use both like I'm using here. So these are actually live switches and the top 4 are simulated switches. Now if you just take a look at the dashboard, it actually gives you the switch datas. Now these things here basically mirror the real live device. Now I haven't got all facilities coded in the simulator. I basically got control, you can turn the thing on and off, and we've also got group control, so we can turn it off using a group command, and I'll show you that in a second. But these things here, what you see here, the IP address and the version number, they're basically, those are the things that are actually sent by real live devices. You can see here this real live device here has the same thing. Here the name here, ACURS3, is the name of the network, the Wi-Fi network this is connected to, and here this is the group command for this switch, and for the other switches here they're all using the same group command. And what you also need to be aware of is the interesting thing about developing the simulator, when we go into the simulator code, is that when you turn on a Sonoff device, it actually sends out messages. Those messages are only sent out when you actually turn the thing on, so normally they're not on. So if you start this dashboard after you've turned all your devices on, then you won't see a lot of these things here, because the data is only actually sent when you turn the things on and off. And we'll be looking at the API commands where you can actually send your own commands to trigger the device to actually send this information. Now on that note, you should bookmark this page, and I will put it in the video description. It will also be on the website. This gives you a list of all the Tasmota commands that you can use. You can see they're quite extensive. They go control, management, Wi-Fi. These control MQTT properties like the MQTT group, the MQTT broker. You can change the broker by sending a command. We can also set timers and roles, and we'll be doing a lot of that in subsequent videos. So I think I've covered most of the things now in the introduction. There's always something you forget. So let's just take a look at this quick demo flow, the introduction flow. And if we go to the control panel here, what I'm doing here is using straightforward switches, and you can see them here, to control the water pump and control the main light. Now all they're doing is issuing commands, and if I go to one of those switches, you can see here this is the command it's going to issue. So this is the topic and this is the command. We can turn the power on and off. So the command is actually hard coded into the switch. Not very flexible, but very easy to implement and perfectly fine if you're only doing 1 or 2. So this is only if you've got 1 or 2 devices to control, then you're not going to go to any lengths to introduce drop-down boxes and switch selection. You're just going to hard code it into the switch. It's much easier. You also notice that we've got an input to here. We're actually subscribing to the host topic. We've got an input to here, and this is so that we can actually get the state of the switch. So we're seeing the state of the switch is off, and when we click it on here, it goes on. Now that is me toggling with a switch. Now with IoT devices, with home automation, they can actually be controlled from anywhere. So I can send this a command from maybe another dashboard, or in my case I'll be using the Mosquito pub tool. I can send it another command from another device and the switch will go off or the switch will go on. Now I want to see that state in my own switch here, which is why I've got here. This is giving me feedback, and it's setting the state of my switch, and I've got one for the water pump and I've got one for the main light. So you can see here all this switch does, the switch node here is it filters the water pump and it filters the main light. Okay, so let's just demonstrate that very quickly. We're just going to use the Mosquito pub tool here. You can see here I've already been using it. I'm just going to turn the switch off. This is the water pump, and this one here, and I just turn it off, and you can see it goes off. And I can do the same with the main light just by sending a command here and changing the water pump here to main light. It needs to go on, this one, doesn't it? So let's turn it on. And there it is, gone on there. So very important with these switches that you do get feedback. When you actually toggle the switch or move the switch, you want to know what state it's currently in. Now we've got simple on off here. We've also got water pump toggle, so if it's off it'll go on, if it's on it's going to go off. So if I click on that, it should go on, and there it does. And the same with the main light. And now I've also got a toggle all. If you look to the display here, you can see they're all grouped. All my simulators are grouped into a group called Sonoffs, and all this command does, all this one does here, the switch, it sends a command to that group. So let's have a look at the actual toggle hall, and you can see here I'm using our Sonoffs there instead of the actual switch name. And when I do that, we should, before I forget that, the payload is actually 2. That's the payload to toggle it. And if you go and look at the API, it will tell you that. Okay, so let's just do that. So they should go off, and there they are. They've all gone off using the group command. Another thing with the dashboard is that if you scroll down, there is actually a little display here that will display the last 10 messages, so you can see here. Okay, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover in this video. Download the flow and get familiar with it, and please leave some feedback and let me know any suggestions that you may have regarding the future videos and what you'd like to see in the dashboard, and what else you'd like me to talk about actually regarding Tasmota devices. So the usual, if you like the video, then click on the like button. If you've got comments, then leave the comments. If you want to get notified of new videos on the channel, then subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to go over to the website. I'll leave a link below to the tutorial on the website, but there will be the comments box and you can leave suggestions. You can also leave suggestions on the YouTube in the YouTube comments as well. Okay, until next time, bye.